Determining an appropriate selling price for a company's goods or services is an extremely important function of business. The price must be attractive to potential customers, yet sufficient to cover expenses and provide the company with a reasonable profit. In business, expenses are separated into two major categories. The first is the cost of goods sold. To the manufacturer, this expense would be the cost of production. To the wholesaler or retailer, the expense is the price paid to a manufacturer or distributor for merchandise. The second category includes all other expenses required to operate the business, such as salaries, rent, utilities, taxes, insurance, advertising, and maintenance. These expenses are known as operating expenses, overhead expenses, or simply overhead. The amount added to the cost of an item to cover the operating expenses and profit is known as markup or margin. It is the difference between the cost and the selling price of an item. Markup is applied at all levels of marketing channels and distribution. This presentation deals with the business math applications involved in pricing of goods and services. The foundational principle on which business operates is to sell goods and services for a price high enough to cover overall expenses and provide owners with a reasonable profit. The formula that describes this principle is known as the retailing equation. The equation states that the selling price of an item is equal to the cost plus markup. Selling price E equals cost plus markup. A gift shop pays $8 for a picture frame. If the markup is $6.50, what is the selling price? Here's our solution strategy. Because selling price is the unknown variable, we use the formula selling price equals cost plus markup. That's as follows. We have an $8 cost plus $6.50 in markup for a total selling price of $14.50. Equations are solved by isolating the unknowns on one side and the knowns on the other. Using this theory, when the amount of markup is unknown, the equation can be written as markup equals selling price minus cost, or M equals SP minus C. Now let's use an example finding markup. Reliable Office Supply buys printing calculators from Taiwan at $22.50 each. If they're sold for $39.95, what is the amount of the markup? Our solution strategy is as follows. Because the markup is the unknown variable, we use the formula M equals SP minus C as follows, where markup equals the $39.95 selling price minus the $22.50 overall cost. That gives us a markup of $17.45. When the cost is the unknown variable, the equation becomes cost equals selling price minus markup, or C equals SP minus M. In this example, we'll solve for cost. Safeway Supermarkets sells Corn Crunchies for $3.29 per box. If the markup on this item is $2.12, how much did the store pay for the cereal? Because the cost in our solution strategy is the unknown variable in this problem, we use the formula C equals SP minus M. So our cost will equal the $3.29 selling price minus the $2.12 known markup to give us an overall cost of $1.17. In addition to being expressed in dollar amounts, markup is frequently expressed as a percent. There are two ways of representing markup as a percent, based on the cost and based on the selling price. Manufacturers and most wholesalers use cost as the base in calculating the percent markup because cost figures are readily available to them. When markup is based on cost, the cost is 100% and the markup is expressed as a percent of that cost. Retailers, however, use the selling price figures as the base for most calculations, including percent markup. In retailing, the selling price represents 100% and the markup is expressed as a percent of that selling price. Remember, the percentage formula is portion equals rate times base. To review these variables, portion is a part of the whole amount, base is the whole amount, and the rate, as the percent, describes what part of the portion is the base. When we calculate markup as a percent, we're actually solving a rate problem using the formula rate equals portion divided by base. When the markup is based on cost, the percent markup is the rate. The dollar amount of the markup is the portion, and the cost, representing 100%, is the base. The answer will describe what percent the markup is of the cost. Therefore, it's called percent markup based on cost. We use the following formula. percent markup based on cost, which is the rate, equals the markup, which is our portion, divided by cost, which is the base. So again, our formula is percent markup based on cost equals markup divided by cost. That long explanation is relatively simple as we look at an example of percent markup based on cost. Blanco Industries produces stainless steel sinks at the cost of $56 each. If the sinks are sold to distributors for $89.60 each, what are the amount of markup and the percent markup based on cost? A shortcut for calculating the factors of the retailing equation is to use a markup table like you see here. The cells represent cost, markup, and selling price in both dollars and percents. Step 1. Fill in the given information using 100% for the base and X for this unknown. You can see this in orange. Step 2. Calculate the figure for the remaining cell in red here in the column without the X. That's $89.60 minus $56 to equal a total of $33.60 for your percent markup based on cost. Now, we use our solution strategy formula M equals SP minus C to help us understand markup using the formula. So markup is going to equal our $89.60 in terms of selling price minus the cost of $56 to give us $33.60 in markup, much like the markup tables did for us as well. Remember, the percent markup of cost equals markup divided by cost. From the basic retailing equation, we know that the selling price is equal to the cost plus the markup. When the markup is based on cost, the cost equals 100% and the selling price equals 100% plus the markup. If, for example, the percent markup is 30%, then selling price equals cost plus markup. So it's 100% cost plus 30% markup. So our selling price is 130% of the cost. Because of the means multiply, we multiply the cost by 100% plus the markup. Selling price equals cost 100% plus the markup based on cost in this formula. Take a look at an example. A wallet costs $50 to produce. If the manufacturer wants a 70% markup based on cost, what should the selling price of the wallet be? Here's our solution strategy. Remember, selling price equals cost times 100% plus the percentage markup based on cost. If the selling price, in this case, is equal to then $50 or the cost times 100 plus 70%, that desired markup based on cost. So selling price equals 50 times 170%, which equals 50 times 1.7. That gives us a total of $85 in a selling price. To calculate cost when selling price and percent markup on cost are known, let's use our knowledge of solving equations. Because we're dealing with the same three variables from the last section in our discussion, simply solve the equation SP equals C times 100% plus percentage markup of cost for your total cost. Cost is the unknown, is isolated on the side of the equation by dividing both sides by 100% plus percent markup. So cost equals selling price divided by 100% plus percent markup on cost. Let's kick the tires with an example. American Eagle sells a blouse for $66. If a 50% markup based on cost is used, what's the cost of the blouse? Our solution strategy is as follows. Remember, cost equals selling price over 100% plus markup based on cost. So we take our $66 selling price and put it over 100% plus the 50% markup. That means we have $66 over 150% or 66 over 1.5. That gives us a total cost of $44. We just calculated markup as a percentage of the cost of an item. The cost was the base and represented 100%. As noted, this method is primarily used by manufacturers and wholesalers. In this section, the markup is calculated as a percentage of the selling price. Therefore, the selling price will be the base and represent 100%. The practice is used by most retailers because most retail records and statistics are kept in sales dollars. The calculation of markup based on selling price is the same as that for the percent markup based on cost, except that the base, the denominator, changes from cost to selling price. Remember, finding percent markup is a rate problem using the now familiar percentage formula rate equals portion divided by base. For this application of the formula, the percent markup based on selling price is the rate, the amount of markup is the portion, and the selling price is the base. Our formula is, as you see here, percent markup based on selling price, which is our rate, equals markup, which is our portion, divided by selling price. So the percent markup based on selling price formula is percent markup based on selling price equals markup divided by selling price. Let's take a look at that applied in this example. Quality Hardware and Garden Supply purchases electric drills for $60 each. If it sells the drills for $125, what is the amount of the markup and what is the percent markup based on selling price? So our solution strategy is as follows. Markup equals selling price minus cost. So in this case, markup is going to equal $125, which is the selling price, minus $60, which is the overall cost, for a total markup of $65. Then we can determine the percent markup based on selling price by dividing markup over selling price. So that gives us $65, our markup, divided by the selling price of $125 to equal 0.52. So our percent markup based on selling price is 52%. When the markup percent is based on selling price, remember that the selling price is the base and represents 100%. This means the percent cost plus the percent markup must equal 100%. If, for example, the markup is 25% of the selling price, the cost must be 75% of the selling price. Remember, cost plus markup equals selling price. 75% plus 25% equals 100%. Because the percent markup is known, the percent cost will always be the complement, or percent cost equals 100% minus percent markup based on selling price, as you see in this formula. Because the selling price is the base, we can solve for the selling price by using the percentage formula base equals portion divided by rate, where the cost is the portion and the percent cost, or 100% minus markup on the selling price, is the rate. So selling price equals cost divided by 100% minus percent markup on selling price. Let's use those formulas in this example to calculate selling price. High Point Furniture purchases wall units from a manufacturer for $550. If the store policy is to mark up all merchandise 60% based on selling price, what is the retail selling price of the wall units? Our solution strategy uses our formula SP equals cost over 100% minus percent markup of selling price. So in this case, selling price will be equal to the $550 cost over 100% minus 60%. That gives us $550 over $40, which equals $1,375 in a selling price. The original selling price of merchandise usually represents only a temporary situation based on customer and competitor reaction to that price. A price reduction from the original selling price of merchandise is known as a markdown. Markdowns are frequently used in retailing because of errors in initial pricing or merchandise selection. For example, the original price may have been set too high, or the buyer ordered the wrong sizes, styles, or quantities of merchandise. A markdown is a reduction from the original selling price of an item to a new sale price. To determine the amount of a markdown, we use the following formula. Markdown equals original selling price minus sale price. For example, if a sweater was originally marked at $89.95 and then was sale priced at $59.95, the markdown would be $30. $89.95 minus $59.95. Most markdowns should not be regarded as losses, but as sales promotion opportunities used to increase sales and profit. When a sale has been concluded, raising prices back to the original selling price is known as markdown cancellation. This section deals with the mathematics of markdowns, a series of markups and markdowns, and the pricing of perishable merchandise. To find the markdown percent, we use the percentage formula once again, rate equals portion divided by base, where the markdown percent is the rate, the amount of the markdown is the portion, and the original selling price is the base. So markdown percent equals markdown divided by original selling price. Apply that formula. A blender that was originally sold for $60 was marked down and sold for $48. What is the amount of markdown and the markdown percent? Remember, markdown equals original selling price minus sale price. In this case, markdown will then equal our $60 minus the $48 to equal a $12 markdown. Our markdown percent is markdown over original selling price. In this case, our $12 markdown is divided by our $60 original selling price for a total of 0.2, or a 20% markdown percent. In markdown calculations, the original selling price is the base, or 100%. After a markdown is subtracted from that price, the new price represents 100% minus markdown percent of the original price. For example, if a chair is marked down 30%, the sales price would be 70%. That's 100% minus 30% of the original price. To find the new sale price after a markdown, we use the familiar percentage formula. Portion equals rate times base, where the selling price is the portion, the original price is the base, and 100% minus markdown percent is the rate. So our sale price equals original selling price times 100% minus markdown percent. Apply that formula to determine sale price. A men's clothing store originally sold a line of ties for $55 each. If the manager decides to mark them down 40% for a clearance sale, what is the sales price of the tie? Here's our solution strategy. Remember, if the markdown is 40%, the sales price must be 60%, 100 minus 40, of the original price. So, sale price equals original selling price times 100% minus markdown percent. In this case, our sale price is going to be the $55 original selling price times 100% minus 40%, or 55 times 0.6. That gives us a total sale price of $33. To find the original selling price before a markdown, we use the sale price formula solved for the original selling price. The original selling price is located on one side by dividing both sides by the equation of 100% minus markdown percent. Note, this is actually the percentage formula, base equals portion divided by rate, with the original selling price as the base. Original selling price equals sales price divided by 100% minus markdown percent. Our final markup and markdown example, let's take a look at using that formula to calculate original selling price. What was the original selling price of a backpack at Walmart that was currently on sale for $99 after a 25% markdown? Here's our solution strategy. Remember, $99 is equal to 75%, or 100% minus 25, of the original selling price. So we solve for the original selling price. So original selling price from our equation equals sale price over 100% minus markdown percent. In this case, the sales price is $99. We put that over 100% minus 25%. So we take 99 and divide it by 0.75. That gives us an original selling price of $132.